Hey guys, for those of you that are early, welcome to the Clay Cave. It's a little cavey. So today I'm going to be working on attaching handles on some mugs for my new spring line. Now these mugs, I am still fleshing out the color scheme and whether or not there's going to be a carve on it. But I did want to make sure that I got my handles going. And I figured since I'm making, maybe you guys want to join me. I've got two streams going. I've got my YouTube right here that I'm looking at, and I've got my Insta right here that I'm looking at. So welcome, however you chose to join. So I'm going to go ahead and angle my dock cam down. If you're on Insta, you're not connected to it. So if you want to click on over to my YouTube channel, that's going to be youtube.com. It's the slash Barbie Savage. No, Art Barbie Savage. It's in the picture. So click on the picture on my story and you'll see the channel. And so, yeah, I figured I'd let you guys join me on a normal Saturday night. This is what Saturday night looks like for me. So let me go ahead and get started. If you are on YouTube, hi Insta, YouTubers, we're going to go ahead and angle you down so you can actually see what's going on. I'm sitting at my wheel right now, and I'm just going to do this whole thing at my wheel because I still haven't cleaned my work table. I just finished a commission, and it's a hot mess after I finish a commission, so it requires a full clean. So we're just going to modify. So bear with me for a moment as we join workstation here. Okay, so I've just got a piece of plywood over my splash pan. Wheel is turned off. And we're going to be adding handles to my new spring line. Let me see if I can get my Insta folks a little bit better view. And see if you guys can see this a little better. All right, so I think that's going to be the best I can do for you guys. So what I've got going is I've got these new mug forms that I kind of think have a really nice hand feel. They feel really comfortable. They're a little bit weightier than I am used to making at the bottom, which is why I'm still considering a carve to kind of remove some of that weight. They have a really nice trimmed foot. So what I start with when I'm making handles is I start with, making sure I have my space set up. I prep a lot of my work ahead of time. So I've got some extruded handles because I invested in an extruder and it ended up being a really, really strong, really high quality, nice, clean sponge that doesn't leave a lot of lines. These are ZM sponges and I love them. So if anybody wants to get me more ZM sponges for Christmas, yay. And then based on the size of the particular object I'm adding a handle to, I grab a random object from the studio as my standard measurement. And I do a prototype handle first. So I'm going to take my extruded handle. Oh, see, and I just squished those edges. So I want to make sure I don't ruin anything. So I've got my measurement tool, which is a Sharpie, something to cut very cleanly. This is an old hotel key card. A needle tool to slip and score with, a brush for cleanup, a sponge. I have my throwing water that I used while I was throwing these mugs. And in my splash pan, I have a little bit of slip left from when I was throwing. So that way all of the clay is all the same. And then the clay from here is from the same bag. And I used my scraps from throwing and trimming, re-wedged, made it all nice and clean, and then use that in the extruder. So it's actually the same clay coming out of the cups because I want everything to have the same, a lot of sameness going on. So that way the shrinkage is similar. The clay can vary from batch to batch. So I'm just going to use my, shouldn't cut first. We don't cut first. We clean first. So I'm going to gently rub my sponge along the edges and the back here and just pre-clean one side. Then I'm going to put my measuring tool, and I always cut myself a nice clean starting edge. And I'm going to cut this particular key card has a slight curve in it because I use it a lot for ribbing and for throwing. You know what? My poor Insta folks, you are left out in the cold. So I'm going to bring you over here. My hand. Hi, sorry. I'm going to bring you over here and see if I can get you a little bit closer to the action. All right, there we go. So it's got a slight curve in it, and I'm trying to maintain where that curve is because I'm going to do something special to my handles. Mise en place, right? That's from our big chef friends here, is making sure your materials that you're using are in their place where they belong, so you have very minimal lapses in efficiency. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and gently clean the opposite end. And now I like to clean up the edges of that cut, make sure there's no burrs and no weird little boogers. Because I like my work to be clean. And I think it also makes it so when you're at the final stages before you're ready to put it in the kiln, there's a lot less refinement and cleanup you have to do if you maintain a cleanliness. So I'm going to hold my handle vertically, and I'm going to rock it back and forth on this very porous surface. This is a nice piece of pine that I was using for another project, and this was a leftover piece of pine. And I use everything, recycle everything. So I'm just rocking this back and forth, and it being a porous surface is very important because I do not want that to stick. And my handles always have a fair amount of hydration in them. Even if I extrude and let them sit for a little while, I always make sure that they've got a lot of moisture internally because I will be bending these. I flipped it over, and I'm going to go ahead and rock and roll the other side. Try to get it so it's kind of flared. I'm just showing everybody. And now I'm going to just very gently cup the bottom end of this handle piece with the outside of my left hand, cup the top of the other side, and gently add pressure in a slow wiping motion to the handle. I am compressing and forming it before I do the final stretch. And this, I find, helps prevent it from, in the drying, it tends to spring back to its former memory, and that causes handle crackage and all kinds of other problems. So instead of just bending it and going ham-handed at it, I am going to take a little bit of time and just make sure I really get some compression going. So I'm going to support now on the underside with my thumb and add some compression. So I've got it in a general Q shape, but that's not how I like my hands. I think they feel very good. So now I come in. I always use my wire tools like this, and I wrap them around my fingers and use my thumbs to cut. Same idea, but instead of using my fingers, they're not engaged. It's the flats of my middle fingers and my thumbs, and I just gently hold them almost by friction and just start to wiggle, stretch this out, and then set it down. And now I want to look at where it sits. So I'm going to rock the foot of it in a little bit and then add some compression down low on that foot, so that way I don't have that tension in my handle as it dries and even as it fires. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And what that's going to do is just going to provide me with higher success rate in the firing, so I don't have to worry about handles popping off, because I am using a porcelainic stoneware, which is this one, I believe, is an aardvark bee mix. I normally use Laguna. My supplier was out when I went to go buy clay, but they both have close enough results that you can't really, they're essentially the same-ish. Only if you work in that body long enough, that clay body long enough, do you really start to notice the differences. Okay, so then I like to make the handles for all of my work and line them up, so that way I can make sure we're all relatively in the same strain of sizing. I always have like one odd man out. Like this guy, he's a little bit different, so I may not use him. So you always want to have enough for what your work is, plus maybe one or two more. So I'm going to do one more as quickly as I can. And the reason you want to always make more is it's better to plan for mistakes than it is to be surprised by them. So there have been times when I've been working and I had to sneeze and I dropped a handle. And instead of having to just, oh my gosh, now I have to start the process all over again. I have to wedge my clay all over again. I have to pull my handle or extrude it or roll it, however you're making it. I just make extras, not a lot, but I make a few extras, and give myself the freedom to fail sometimes. And it's okay if you fail a little bit. As long as you learn from your failures and you try to keep them to a reasonable minimum, then failure is actually going to help you in the long run. So this is how I learned to make, a few more handles than I actually need. When I first started making ceramics, God, when was that? I'm going to say it was somewhere between 2003 and 2005. It was earlier than 2005. I would make a handle for my piece and attach it, and something wouldn't be right. I'm just like, oh, that's not right. That's not good. So before I started extruding handles, I was always either pulling or hand making handles. And when you make your handles handmade, unless you do the same kind of form repeatedly over and over and over again, it's going to be really, really hard to get them uniform. So I do know potters who can get them very uniform. I got to focus one sec. Okay, I got that one bent. They can get it very uniform. Everything looks relatively the same. Those of you guys that like to watch reels and videos and stuff, Florian Gatsby does some really beautiful work, and he has a really streamlined process of making his handles. Now I did that too. However, I noticed that because I am always intrigued by a huge amount of variety, and my emotional state affects sometimes the way that my work comes out. I didn't want to have to stop production of my work just because I was feeling off, or maybe I had a head cold, or maybe I didn't get enough sleep, but I still had work to do. I still had stuff to get done. So I started using the extruder, and I've gone through several different dyes, and I really like this particular one. I think it has the nicest hand feel. That being said, when I was making my original handles, I made like, for one mug, I made like 5, because you want to pick the best one for your work. Well, the extruder kind of cuts down on that. Okay, so one thing that I always do on my mugs, I'm kind of known for it, is doing thumb control pads. And so this guy has this nice thumb control pad. And so I always like to add my thumb control pads. Now, it's not just a blob of clay that I just smush on there. Believe it or not, I'm actually pretty strategic about it. So I lob off from a remnant piece of extruded handle. Make sure it's hydrated first before I do anything, because if the outer side is dry and the inside is moist, you're not going to end up with a good finish. So you have to kind of stay on this balance of hydration. So I lob off a piece that I think is going to be a good enough size. And then I lob off a second one. And then I take the first one and I'll roll a ball. Okay, I'll roll a ball and then I'll start gently compressing it into a coin. Okay. The reason I do one and then I measure it and I cut a second one is that way I have one to practice with and one to tell me just how much clay I removed from that scrap. And so if it's too small, I can add more. If it's too big, I can take some away, and I kind of prototype out the first one based on the specific style of mug that I'm doing. And then from there, I can just boom, 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 do a production line. And so I'll take my little ball of clay and I just gently push down, and I'm not making the actual imprint yet. I'm gently flattening it into a coin. I want both sides to be as flat as I can, so I'm using the flattest part of my thumb. And I'm just going to gently coin it, right? I want to turn it into a nice little coin. And I always work on a porous surface when I do this, especially these little coins, because they'll stick. And then you can't get them off until they're like leather hard without destroying them. And sometimes leather hard's too late because you need to manipulate them upon attachment. So I just wiped the edges because I saw a little bit of compression cracking. Okay, so now the coin is about as flat as I want it to be. So I'm going to take my thumb, hold it low and flat. It's an uncomfortable angle, but this I found makes the best. And I'm just going to wiggle it back and forth. Gentle, imperceptible wiggles. I'm going to go a little bit up and down, but mostly side to side. And the reason I do the side to side wiggle is because I have big thumbs, so I know that, I don't know if I have big thumbs, but they're wide. And I know that when I use my own thumb and I just do a regular thumbprint and then I fire it and I get it back and then I fire it again after glaze and I get it back, it's smaller because clay shrinks. And so that side to side wiggle not only gives you a slightly wider starting line for your shrinkage, but it also rounds out where that indentation is. And I don't want anything to feel uncomfortable when someone picks up my work. So I always gently smooth that sharp edge that my thumb creates. So that way it's always gentle and it feels nice when you touch it. So now I have 2, 4, 6, 7 handles and 2, 4, 6. And then I'll just do this this last one. I have 5 mugs remaining to add handles to because one of them's already done, because of course I had to prototype this all out first. And the reason I use a measuring tool to cut my extruded handles is so if it's just too short, then I can either find another tool, or you'll find, like in my studio, there's a lot of like random tools that are stick-like that have like Sharpie lines on them. I'll just draw a Sharpie line and that'll tell me where to cut. So I squished my piece of extruded handle and I'm squishing it into the center. I'm hydrating my hand. I'm gently hydrating the outside of the ball. And this hand I did not hydrate on purpose because I want one dry hand and one moist hand. So that way I can kind of rotate it between the two and just get that perfect level of wetness and dryness I'm looking for. Again, because I don't want it to stick on my work surface, but I do want to make sure it stays nicely hydrated. Okay, so I got my ball. I'm going to coin it, gently pick it up, flip it over, coin it, and coin it. Okay, and I feel like one more flip. Yeah. Okay, so now this is going to be the side that I'm going to wiggle it. I'm going to wiggle it and then press a little bit more down towards my knuckles so I get a slight taper, a slight downshift. A little bit of wiggle. Okay, and this ball maybe a little wet. Nope, came off just fine. Okay, and I'm going to take my sponge and gently clean the outer edge. I don't like to see the cracking or any crusties, sharp edges, because, you know, with glaze on it, you're essentially making a knife and that hurts and no one wants to touch that while they're drinking their coffee. Okay, so I'm going to put my scraps aside. And then if I have a catastrophic failure where I lose more handles than I've made, even my failure bits, I have one nice little strip of extruded piece of handle left. I could probably get one good handle out of it should I need to. So I don't actually need to make another one right now. And I don't want to waste my time and energy because I don't have a lot of that. So I'm going to just hydrate the outer edge and set it aside out of my way so I don't end up touching it or using it. Clean my sponge. And I'm going to take this opportunity to clean my hands and my fingers because I'm about to touch the bodies of my wheel thrown projects. And I really don't want nastiness coming off my fingers. I don't want slip on my fingers and I don't want my hands super wet. So I just clean them first. And then I always keep a towel with me, little hand towel. And I'm just going to dry it. And so I like to have clean, dry hands before I do all this attachment. And this also cuts down on time lost cleaning because everything's already ready for me. Okay, so mug body number 1. Each of these handles are imperceptibly different, but I know they're different. And so I picked the one that I think is actually going to suit this particular piece the best. The first thing I do is I lay it so that way I'm looking at it from a side angle and I want to see how it looks, how it fits. I feel like that is looked upside down to me, so I'm going to flip it and I'm going to eyeball it and make sure, yeah, that looks right. That feels like that's the aesthetic I'm going for. I just visually spot where those handles are going to go, keep the mug in place, pick up my needle tool, and I just start slipping or start scoring where I know it's going to need to be attached. And if you're not good at eyeballing it yet for distance and slipping and scoring, that's okay. The little hack for that is to just add a tiny amount of slip to the nubs of your handle, gently touch it to the outside of your pot, and then you'll have little marks. A little bit higher than that. Okay. And the top part is more important for attachment than the bottom. I find that it takes the brunt of the weight and utility when you're making work or when you're using mugs. When you're using mugs and everything else, like the top part does most of the support. So I've got that slipped and scored ready for its next phase. And what I'm going to do before I score my handle, I'm just going to take my tool, reach into my splash pan, and grab some slip. And again, this is the same clay, the same slip that I use to make the mugs. And sometimes you'll find the chunkier, slightly drier slip and not the watery slip. And I like to use the slightly chunkier slip because I like it when it squeezes out the sides. And I also don't like water dripping down my work. I feel like it just creates more cleanup for me. It helps my handle attachment a little bit better. And I also find it satisfying to work with. It's just so nice. It's just like, it's like playing with thick yogurt. And for some reason that just goes, ooh, I like that. That's fun. So I'm going to just store that upside down on my clean surface. I'm going to clean this tool. And this is another ZM tool. This is my favorite needling tool. It's super needle pointy on one end, like very, very sharp. Definitely a needle point and not like the ones that come in like those kits. And then the other end comes out in a needle, but it's a bend. It's not a full 45. It's like a 60. And that bend, I find this end to be incredibly useful. There's my Insta folks. And then for my YouTube, you kind of see how that works. So, whoop, I touched it. Okay, I didn't smear it. But it's kind of like if you're putting on makeup and then you like touch the wet makeup before it sets, and you're like, oh no, now it's all over my face. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to go ahead and score. And I do lots of scoring. I go diagonal and then I do a cross. Don't always go back vertical because I find it just makes a mess. But I get really good, solid, deep scoring, decent connection when I go diagonal, and then horizontally across. I also don't like going the direction that my piece is in because I don't want the crummies to fall on my work. I want it to fling off away from it. Again, trying to stay clean and keep clean throughout the process. So this one, I'm just going to add some starter slip to the middle of each of these scored sections. And I like to just start with some good slip in the middle, and I'll just score it in again. I don't really care too much about the sides. It's that center section that I really am particular about, because that's what's going to take, that's what absolutely must have a nice solid connection. I have some extra slip on here, so I might as well just gently dot some of it on. I don't want to over slip and create a huge muddy, mucky mess that I have to clean off. I just want to get some of it on there, get it nice and sticky. Okay, set that down on its side very gently. I'm going to just pinch squeeze off that slip and put it somewhere easy for me to reach on the next go around. So I don't have to dig so deep. Okay, I'm going to hold my mug in my hand and I'm going to look at it with my eyes so I can eyeline it directly and make sure, so that's upside down and that's right to the left. And I'm going to just gently hover over until I feel like I've got it kind of exactly where I want it, and I can work on the vertical placement, because there's nothing worse than attaching the handle and then looking at it after and being like, oh my gosh, I put that thing on so crooked. And so these are leather hard, and I'm just going to give it a little wiggle and a small amount of pressure, because again, I don't want to damage the cup. And that'll keep the handle from falling off while you rotate it. And I have had so many handles just fall off while I go to rotate it, stick my hand in the cup. Okay, and I'm going to put my fingers on the inside, and I tend to attach, I don't know, I wiggle, squish these on. Yeah, I think I always attach the bottom first, just because then I push the body of the mug up against my chest, and then I can really get, I know that this isn't going to fall. This hand's really nicely supporting the inside here. And I can wiggle, squish it down, and get it a nice secure attachment. Okay, my edges are flared out. They're not touching the pot. And some of my mugs, I really like that aesthetic. And I'll even play with that shape. And some of them, I really don't want that aesthetic, and I don't want that visual insecurity of a connection. So this one, I want it to be really attached and firm. So I'm going to very gently add, I'm not squeezing, but I am just applying a small amount of pressure so as to grab friction. And I'm letting friction grab the project and then, or grab the handle. I'm going to just wiggle, squish it down. And then I'm going to add some pointed pressure right at the edges of the handle and kind of draw that clay downward until it attaches. Okay. I'm going to rotate it And this one's a little bit trickier because you got to make sure, okay, I know how thick this is. I know that this is leather hard enough. The body can take some of this wiggle squishing without causing any warpage and deformation. It's not going to dent my project and leave a weird mark on the inside. It's all about knowing the clay in its different levels and stages of wetness and dryness. So I'm going to just wiggle squish that little guy on there. Wiggle squish this little guy a little bit more because I want that super, super secure feeling. Okay, and I'm going to just do it to the edges. Okay, and so it's attached. It's messy because there's some slip squeezing out the edges. So I'm going to first come at it with, I love this sponge. Like, I cannot get over how much I love this sponge. It comes to a point. It's like beveled, and it comes to a point. And it saves me so much time. And so I can just gently give it a nice clean swipe. I rotate it, get the slip out of the way, give it another clean swipe, and it is just gorgeously attached. There's no mess. It's just clean. It saves me, this tool saves me a lot of time. So now the sponge has slip all over it. I'm going to just squeeze it in and out in my throwing water, remove most of the water, bring this back to life. There's a weird thing on my mug. Okay, I'm going to do that to all of my edges. I touched that in a weird way, and it made a tiny, tiny dent, and I don't like that. And there's lint from my sweatshirt. Yeah, needle tools, right? They're so nice. Okay. I'm just going to get my sponge up in there. Get my sponge up in there. Okay, so I got my sponge in as far as I can. Now with a slightly damp finger, I'm just going to go in and reaffirm the connection. Rotate the mug, reaffirm that connection. Sometimes my fingers are too thick for this space, and so I just use my pinky and make it really nice and tidy. Nice and tidy. I like tidy. I like tidy. I'm wondering if I have any folks out there who also use weird voices and when they talk to their pots. Also, we talk to our pots. I know that I'm not alone. I think that there are other people that talk to their pots. I was at a show this past weekend, and I was talking to my pots while I was unpacking. It was like 7:30 in the morning. The show didn't start till 10. I'm unpacking. I'm setting up everything. And one of the other artists there came over. She goes, I heard that. I was like, wait, what? What was I saying? She goes, I heard you talking to your pots. I was like, oh, yeah. Because they all have their own personality, their own character, their own like thing going, their own vibe. So you got to talk to them. You got to get to know them. You got to see what's going on. Okay. So I'm just making sure it's super duper duper clean. And now I'm going to check the profile. Make sure I like the profile. I'm going to do a quick hand check and see if I've got the proportions that I'm looking for right. I've got the negative space right, the curvature. Okay, so I like that. I'm going to store this upside down and not attach the thumb pad. I need to let it set for a little bit, and then I'll attach the thumb pad again at the end. Too. So I got to do all of these handles. I don't like the way that one's curved. So I'm going to set that aside over here. I'm going to come back and curve this a little bit more because I do not like the way that was curved. And I foresaw problems. There were going to be some issues if I do not address that curve. So when you look at a piece of handmade pottery, please understand there's a lot of work and knowledge that goes into it. It's not just, bam, made it on the wheel really quick. Bam, now it's out of the kiln. Wapa, now it's in your hands. To get it into your hands, our hands have to touch it several times. and manipulate it and do all kinds of weird things to it if we want to get it into your hands. And it goes through several different processes. So if I wasn't talking while doing this, it would be much faster. So, but I like to talk to you guys. And I want to see how your Saturday's going. How's your Saturday? I see a few folks on there. Send me a little message. I think you guys can send comments. Hi, I see some waves. I think you can send comments and I can read them as I do this. But Saturday night is, time to spend. It's not even Saturday. Oh my gosh, I keep forgetting what day of the week it is because it's like I had today off and it's Thanksgiving break for me and I teach. So as a teacher, we get Thanksgiving break. It's not Saturday. It just feels like it. It's a random Wednesday. That's so cool. I love that. About how much cool stuff I can get done and how many cool things I can make. The next thing I'm going to work on is bowls. And I'm so excited for the bowls version of this, but I'm also a little bit stumped because I really like this curvaceous form and I want to continue that throughout the entire spring line. But bowls, they have to serve a function. They have to serve a purpose. So I got to figure out how to get that idea of the curve in there without sacrificing the amount of functionality I need. You know what? I feel like you guys could be a little closer. So let me do this. Oh, good. That camera worked out nicely. Okay. And we cannot see what I'm working on. A little closer is what we lost. Some ability. There we go. Okay. What was I saying? Bowls, right? Bowls. So I don't know. I don't know if we like bowls with like really big, flared out rims. Like I think that they're fun and I like them, but I'm a clay person. So I like all kinds of bowls, and that's just, I don't like touching commercially made bowls. They just don't bring me joy. So I'm spoiled rotten. So everything that I use at my house is all handmade. Plates, bowls, cups, drink glasses, utensil caddies, just everything. Spoon rests, whatever you can think of. I make it. So welcome for those who joined. So now I'm getting the slip on, getting my slip on. I got to get these handle babies on because I need to get these muggos in their overnight resting area. Not always. It's best practice, which we don't always follow the rules or best practices, but it's a good idea to, after you finish doing all of these various attachments, to let your work rest, even if it's complete, overnight in wrapped plastic before you let it dry out. And that really allows those connections that you make to fully homogenize. It lets the moisture redistribute throughout the entire piece. I mean, the moisture in the slip is what I'm talking about. And it can show you areas of issues and problems before you fire it. And that's nice. It's like a little sneak peek to, hey, by the way, that particular mug is going to self-destruct. I wouldn't fire that one. And it has saved me some clay over the years. If they'll just shout loud and proud, by the way, I'm not going to survive the fire because I don't like my handle. I kicked it off. Okay. Then you're going in the reclaim bin and you will become a new piece some other day. Okay, so that's attached, but I'm not getting what I want from it. So I'm going to support it, wiggle, squish it all the way down. I'm going to I'm going to match the curve of the handle with my fingers. You guys can't see anything up there. Let me move you. There you go. Now you can see more. Let me just match the curve of my finger to the curve of my handle. And I'm going to add pressure, kind of a little rocking pressure. I'm going to give a little bit of pressure on this edge. Now I'm going to put my hand inside on them. Yeah, this is more press, a little bit more pressure. So I always, don't grab the handles I freshly made. I grab the oldest ones first and do a quick hydration check. Make sure that they're cozy and they're doing okay and they're happy. Because if they're happy, then I can keep going on. If they're too firm, then I know that I need to do a spritz or a sponging or something, or scrap them if they're way too firm. This is one of the reasons I work at night and not so much during the day, because I have an amazing little 7-year-old boy who's going to turn, oh my gosh, he's almost 8. He turns 8 next week. And he has a tendency to distract me while I'm working. So, and a lot of this is time sensitive. So you can't just set it down and walk away. So you can't start a process unless you know you have absolute 100% dedicated time to it without being disturbed. When you get to a certain level. Okay, so now I'm just eyeballing it, making sure it looks good. Okay, so that one's on. All right, so I've got these two are done, and you lovely Insta folks, you are resting on another one that's complete. I can count, right? There's 6 total. I have 6 that I'm working on. Let me move this guy over here and move this guy over here, because my space is getting crowded. We've got 3 more to go. But I want to talk a little bit, not about these mugs anymore. I want to talk about bowls, man. These bowls are like kicking my butt with, trying to get me to figure out what the heck I'm doing. What's going on with these bowls? Bowls. I'm going to grab one. Just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay, and where is it? Ugh, gross. Okay. So I have these bowls, and I like this size. I don't like huge, massive bowls. I like this nice, it's a good size for me. It's what I like to use. Big bowls, I feel like then that just invites more food. And then I can also use these to double as like guac bowls or salsa bowls, or I'll eat cereal out of these. I don't need a huge amount of cereal. Maybe it's because, I don't always believe that bigger is better. So this is a nice handmade bowl. And then I had someone over who is a chef, and I had them pick up my work and give me lots of feedbacks, and I paid them in pots. I paid them in pottery because of course I did. And they gave me their professional opinions on the functionality of my work. So according to them, these bowls are way too small, even though I like to use them. And this is, ugh. I know it's Christmassy and like, oh, Christmas, yay. No, this is not okay work. Don't buy stuff that's this garbagey. Ugh, it's not even vitrified properly. This is a cheap bowl from the dollar store. It uses decals. The decals, oh my gosh, they're not even applied properly. They hurt your fingers when you touch them because they got smushes and bad marks. You can even see the seam where it's attached. I don't know if you see the ugliness of that seam. And right here, that's not quality craftsmanship. Sorry, no. Will it function? Yeah, if you're a poor college kid, but I'm not there anymore. I don't need to have trash in my life that makes me unhappy. However, I bought one because I wanted to know what the general population, who is not a huge ceramic snob, feels about bowl sizes. And so I looked at all the different bowls, and they're all about the same. And they're just so thick. They're weird because they're slip cast. They're not made by hand. There's a mold. They fill it with liquid. They let it solidify. They pull it out. And machines do most of that. Humans don't. So this is almost all entirely machine made. Which is why there's so many errors, because machines don't really have an understanding of aesthetic. They don't get it. Anyway, I'm on a rant. But anyway, this is the size. It's the size difference. And mine goes like inside of it. So it's just slightly too small. Even though I like small. And I was also told that nobody likes the foot, because when you put it in the dishwasher, it fills with water, and they don't want to dump the water on themselves. I'm like, but when I want to hand wash stuff too, and I want to see something cool instead of like a made in China logo. Like, that's just, even without the sticker, let me take that dang sticker off. Ow, I don't have nails, so this really painful. Yeah, ugh, hate that. Why would you do that? You know someone's going to need to take that sticker off. Why? I can't. Yeah, the end. Anyway, frustrating. Huge no. I will never sticker my work like that. That irritates me so bad. So bowls. I want it to come out, and then I want it to come in just a hair, just a breath, and then flare out a little bit so I can get the same like feel of this curve in there. But I don't want that little to feel like, no, that sucks. Like, I don't want to run my spoon on that. I don't know. If you got any ideas about the bowl relationship with these new mug bodies, these new mug styles, because it's going to be part of an entire collection. And I want the mugs to clearly go with the bowls, to clearly go with the plates, to clearly go with the drinking cups, which the drinking cups, I'm so excited. Those ones I think I'm going to make next. But yeah, I'm going to do handle it. I got to finish. I got 3 more to go. And I got to stop chit-chatting so much and put my hands to work. Hi, guys. Look at all my friends that joined. It's so good to see you. Welcome. I really, really need to get these handles on, because I honestly have let these poor mug bodies get a little too leather hard. They need a little day at the spa here. I see you over there in the corner. I didn't forget you. I'm coming for you. Okay. I don't like that. That one's too squishy. It does not make me happy. Ooh, I like that one. And you got a little bit crooked when I set you down, didn't you? Okay. Alrighty, Daddy. Oh no, you don't fit. You're not right. You are gonna fit, I think. Yeah, you're right. You're right for this one. You're right for each other. Oh, it's kismet. They were made to be. They were made to be. So I love doing this. This is so much fun. Usually when I do all of my artwork, I have a TV that way. And I don't actually watch. I listen to Netflix. Does anybody have a good show to watch that I can just put on that doesn't absolutely mandatory need me to physically put my eyes on it? Like, I watched 3%, and I really thought that was fun, but I had to read it. So I can't really do that while I'm working. I have to use my ears and occasionally glance. So I watched all of Stargate, SG1, And then now I'm pumping through Stargate Atlantis. When I had access to The Office, so I just like binged The Office over and over and over. But it's gone now. They took it away. And now it's on another platform. So I went and looked at one of my other old favorites from when I was younger, when Friends was still on the air. I know I'm old. And yeah, oh, that show did not age well. There's so many things. I'm like, ooh, cringe. I would not say that today. So I don't know. Just looking for something I can watch that's entertaining or exciting. What I like about the Stargate ones is they have really good musical scores. I don't know if you guys, I don't know how much you pay attention to the music in the backgrounds of shows, but because I listen to shows and I don't actually watch them, the sounds I hear become more important than what I see. And so they had really good, whoever writes or does the composition for Stargate, I like. And Stargate Atlantis, I like, except the opening sounds, man. The opening sounds I'm not a huge fan of because they changed the Stargate like music and then they put this weird like optimistic tone in there. Just don't like the optimism. Where's all the drama? It's overly optimistic. I'm like, no. Any ideas of good shows to listen to while your eyes are currently being occupied by other resources? I see one of my lovely friends who does tattooing is here. So I don't know if you have any shows that you like to listen to. I know that when you're actually working on customers, you're probably listening to your clients and not, TV. But if you're practicing, because there's just really, really cool. So I was watching another tattoo artist page, and which he's here. It's Black Excellence Inc. Hi. He has these really cool practice pads where he just practices his work. And I'm like, dude, that's so rad. I didn't know you could do that. I learned something new that day. And I thought that was awesome. And the artwork is just most beautiful. I loved it. And anyway, I figured your eyes are really paying attention, but your ears are available. So maybe you're listening to something. And you want to tell me what you're listening to? I would really, really like to know. I also found out that my local public library has free audiobooks. I'm like, what? No way. Unfortunately, they're not great with series. This drives me nuts. They did have the entire Harry Potter series, so I listened to that again. I was one of those kids who actually grew up the same age as Harry Potter grew up as they released the book, so it was like a huge thing. I'm not a huge Harry Potter like uber nerd, but I do enjoy it. And then I listened to all of the Pillars of the Earth books. Those were so fun. I really enjoyed them. I liked that. And then I had a kiddo in one of my classes. For those of you guys that don't know, I also teach ceramics in high school. And I had a kiddo in one of my classes last year who was failing. And I'm like, dude, you have to actively try to fail my class. Like, it's hard to get an A and a B. That's fair. But to get an F, you are actively trying to fail at this point. Like, you're doing it and you're putting effort into failing. Like, this takes effort to fail. So he's failing, right? And I'm like, why are you failing? I could not figure it out. And then I just talked to him about like life and stuff, what he likes, what he's interested in. And he always wanted to not work on his ceramics projects and only read his book. So I was like, you know what? I'm a relatively literate human being. I can read a book. So I wrote down the name of the book he was reading and the author. And it was available in audio on my Fresno Public Library. And so I listened to it over the weekend, the entire book. It was not that long. I was like, if it's only like 12 hours of listening, I'm like, oh, that's nothing. I'll blow through that quick. So it was only like 8 hours, I think. So I listened to the whole thing. Super entertaining book. Definitely meant for teens. Not that appealing to a mom with life responsibilities in her 30s, but it was entertaining. I enjoyed it. So the next week I saw him, I struck up a conversation with him about his book. I ignored the fact that he wasn't doing his work in my class because me prodding and poking him to get do his work did nothing. I'm like, okay, well, something's going on. And I think just no one's ever actually taken an interest in what he's interested in. I'm like, oh, that was so sad. And we ended up, building a student-teacher friendship. And he would wear shirts that went to the book. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then I was like, well, now I want to read the next book because it's like 12 books in the series or something like that. There's a bunch of books in the series. I'm not sure how many. And the next book they had was like book 5. And I'm like, really? You go from 1 to 5? Like, I can't read the next one? Come on, man. Why? You have book 1 and then book 5. How am I supposed to follow this story? And it could be a contract thing. So that way, you go buy books from the author because I'm an artist and I like when people buy my stuff instead of trying to get my stuff for free. And I'm sure writers are the same because, they got bills to pay too. I respect that. I also am allowed to feel a little bit irritated and inconvenienced when I don't get what I want. And I did not get what I wanted that day. I was so bummed. So, I like audiobooks. I like watching shows on Netflix. One platform I just can't stand that drives me up the flippin' wall, and maybe it's because I don't feel like paying twice for something, is Hulu. Oh my God, their ads are so loud. It's not even, you can't even listen. You have to like have the remote in your hand the entire time so you don't have to like lose your eardrums. Oh, hello, new friend. I still have not unpacked the painting I bought from you because my house has been a complete clay-tastrophe and I don't want to get any clay on it. And I know me and I will. And that piece is too beautiful to get clay on it. And I also don't know how to fix it if I ruin it. So, and I also want to buy a frame for it before putting it up and get plexiglass over it. I can't do glass in my house. Mostly it's my fault. My husband has a rule in our house that no ball in the house, right? You can't play ball in the house. My son listens, but apparently I don't listen so well. And so like I forget and I find like a bouncy ball and I play bouncy ball with my kid. Or I find a squeaky ball and I play squeaky ball with my dog. I've got my yoga ball and I just like to bounce it because it's bouncy and fun. It's big and bouncy and fun. So I'm attaching these ding dang handles. Anyway, I've played with, the sports balls in the house and I break all of our glass things. Picture frames go. Picture frames fall off and the glass in them always breaks without fail. Oh, I just can't be trusted with nice things. Oh my God, I'm tired now. Don't know why I'm tired. I'm supposed to be up till 2 a.m. working. Probably because I've been up all day cooking, preparing for Turkey Day. I like turkeys. Is anybody else cooking anything really cool for Thanksgiving? Are you able to comment? You're allowed to. Please do. I want to talk to you. Please rescue me from my long rant about bowls and Hulu and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, no. So Thanksgiving, my doctor actually told me I'm allowed to eat all the foods that have been on my no-no list since June. And I'm like, that does not sound right. I should not be eating those things. So I am going to eat some with moderation, with a lot of control, because when I was first allowed to eat carbs, I want to say it was last week. Because I'm on an exercise and health kick. And I haven't had carbs or sugar for like 6 months. And I'm fine with that. And I like that. My life feels better. But he gave me permission to eat carbs last Friday. Was it last Friday? No, it was Friday before that. And I was like, nah, I don't know about that. That sounds sus. And he's like, I am literally your doctor and telling you to do this. I'm like, okay. And so I told my boys, and they're like, oh my God, Mom, let's celebrate. It's pizza night. I'm like, okay, but my pizza's got to have like all the veggies on it because like I still want something healthy. And they're like, okay. So I ate 2 slices of pizza. And like 20 minutes later, I literally just passed out on the floor at like 6:30 in the evening. And granted, at Friday nights, I usually don't go to bed until midnight or 1 a.m. So I'm just like on the floor in the living room, face down. And I guess they thought I was like deceased or something was wrong with me. And so their solution was to find something long and narrow to poke me with, like they're poking me with a stick. I'm like, hey, stop it. I'm just tired. And they made me move because apparently I was in the way and they couldn't walk around me. They couldn't do anything. And I was just asleep in the middle of everybody's business. And so they made me get up and move. And I guess I didn't make it very far. About 20 minutes later, they found me sleeping on the stairs. I fell asleep on the stairs. And I got really upset, is what they said, which I believe, because I remember being angry at one point. I got really upset because they kept waking me up and wouldn't let me sleep. And it was a weekend night, and we like to do something fun and different and unique. So the plan was to bring our mattress out from our master bedroom and put it in the living room and do a family slumber party, which is super fun. We like to do that. We put a movie on and we all sleep in the big bed in the living room. And it's nice, and all of our little critters snuggle around us. So I guess the mattress came out, and they said I helped move it. I have no recollection of moving it, but said I helped move it. But they also said that as soon as the mattress was down, I just fell on it and fell asleep. I'm like, yeah, I believe that. So I was like, why was I so? And then I woke up at like 4 a.m. the next day, like because I had slept too much, and my body's like, you're awake now. Wake up, face the day. Like, okay, what happened yesterday? And so that's my story of how pizza knocked me out. Yeah, so we're not friends with carbs. And I do not want to go through that again because I felt like I was hung over the next day. And I don't drink anymore at all. Not because of anything bad, but because I exercise a lot and it makes me feel bad when I'm trying to exercise. I'm like, ugh, I don't feel good. So I don't want to drink that. It makes me not feel good. The goodness is not outweighing the negative consequences for me. So I just stopped drinking because it didn't feel good. I didn't like it anymore. And that's legit. That's literally no other reason. But it felt like I had drank like 8 beers the night before and just, oh, like, wow. 2 pieces of pizza. Knocked me on my butt. I'm almost done with, well, hello, welcome, friend. Here. Hi, guys. I wave at you. And I just, I think I'd rather just stick to my approved foods. Well, what used to be. my vegetables and my fruit. And you know what I do to cheat on my diet? When I cheat on my diet, you know what I do? I sneak other kinds of fruit that aren't really part of my list items. I'm like, you're not allowed to have strawberries. You're gonna have like sneak 2 strawberries. You're really sneaky about it. That's your sneakiness on your diet. Okay. Way to be sneaky. Yeah. But it is what it is. But anyway, I got off topic and I kind of ranted a little. I do that. So Thanksgiving is tomorrow. We're gonna have turkey, and we're actually not stuffing people. I like stuffing. I do a lot. But I'm not eating stuffing because it's gonna make me feel bad. So I'm gonna pass on that. So, and I guess I was the only one who liked stuffing. So I guess we're not having that. I am having green bean casserole. That's one of the exceptions I got on my list, and I really like that. It's like, and it's not even the good kind that like the nice whole green beans. You saute them and everything's cooked fancy. No, 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 no. I'm talking the canned green beans and the Campbell's mushroom soup and the French's onions. Like it's not even the good stuff. It's just yeah. Sometimes, man, that's the stuff that gets me. So I'm having green bean casserole, steamed carrots, turkey, not having mashed potatoes because that's going to make me feel bad. But I don't feel bad when I eat quinoa, so I'm going to eat quinoa because that actually does not make me feel bad. What else? Oh, stuffed mushroom caps. Oh, love it. Love it. Love, 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 love. So good. So good. Mushroom caps are delicious. And we do a traditional Norwegian breakfast food. We do, I don't know if it's breakfast, is it dessert? It's lefse. So it's like a potato tortilla essentially, but you eat it while it's hot, fresh off the griddle, and because you have to cook it on like a cast iron, and you put butter and sugar on it and you roll it up, and it is delectable. And I think I might have one because they're not very big. I might have one in the morning, so I at least have the whole day to kind of like wear that off. But I'm also a little bit nervous because I also don't want to pass out before we even get to turkey time. Turkey time. Ooh, this mug is really thin. I definitely need support on that one. Hand on the inside. Can make it squish. Too much slip. Oh, see, that's what happens when you use too much slip. You get a little too wiggly. Getting wiggly with it. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Getting wiggly with it. Okay. Too much slip. Why? Is there a feed that I'm not seeing? What's this? What's this button do? Oh, okay. It's not what I don't want that. I don't know what that is. That's cool. What's that button do? Huh. Kind of cool. What's that button do? Oh, it took away my video. No, I don't like that button. That's not fun. Okay. Ugh. Need to clean this up and make it better. Need to clean this up and make it better. Ugh. A little squirrely over here. What time is it? Oh, it's not even 11. We're doing pretty fine. We're doing fine. All right. I got you, baby. We're on. I gotcha. We're on. Here we go. Okay, sort of, kind of. Why are you being like this? Why? Stop it. Why is this a thing you have to do to me? You give me anxiety. Oh, Mr. Mugshine, you are my mugshine. You give me anxiety when I don't need it. You are not behaving. There you go. There you. Oh, why? You're the last one. Why do you have to be such a pill? Okay. It's cold in here. I left my heater over there in the corner. Okay. That one's done. Done, son. I got all my handles on. So excited. I'm so excited. I got my handles on. All right. That's it for now. I'm going to put these on off camera because my voice hurts and I have to go to the bathroom. So we are going to end the stream here. Thank you for everybody who came and everybody who wanted to hang out with me on a random Saturday night, or it's not even Saturday, on a random Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. And I hope you guys have a good turkey day tomorrow, even if you're not eating turkey. If you're eating whatever you're eating, as long as you spend it with people that you like hanging out with, I hope. Enjoy your day. I will do my best to update this project as it progresses. Thank you, guys. And bye-bye, Insta. All right, YouTubers. Thanks for tuning in. I think next time I'm not going to do both. I think that was weird. I think I'm going to do more scheduled live events on YouTube so we can hang out together. Because I can read comments better on that than I can on this little tiny phone. And I don't know how to connect the two because, I play in mud all day. I don't play with tech all day. And this is pretty high tech for me. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to skedaddle. You good night. And if you're watching this some other day, some other time, I hope you enjoy it because it's weird. Bye.